Absent. All city staff?
We will now have the opening prayer by our Mayor Charles Goodman. And pledge.
Lord, we come to you tonight as a group of people, a city that is trying our best to do the best we can for each other. Lord, help us to always look out for each other. Lord, I ask you to be with each one of these police officers, especially our new ones, and give them the wisdom they need to always stay safe. Lord, as we watch the news, it's just a tragedy what is going on with police officers these days. And I ask you to be with each member of this council, all the people that serve the city so well. And Lord, I ask you to give these counselors the wisdom they need to make the best choice that they feel they can make for our city. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hate that.
Okay, item number 1, any additions, deletions, changes, and approval of the agenda?
Yes, Madam President, I believe we have 3 changes. We would like to remove items F and G for future consideration after staff's had a little bit more time to take a look. And then we'd like to add item K, which is Resolution 2025-69, and you'll see that on the dais in front of you.
Can I get a motion?
We approve the agenda as amended.
Can I get a second? The motion has, can we need to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries 3-0. So item number 2 is going to be public participation. 5 minutes, please. Yes, sir. If you'll come to the podium, tell us your name and where you're from.
Madam President, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Clem Wessels. I live in Morrisville, Florida. And if I look big, I'm the guy who helped bring Foolish Pleasure to the park. I'm late a month because 50 years ago, Foolish Pleasure won the Kentucky Derby. And the reason I didn't come last month is because when I watched the replay of the race, one of very embarrassing things happened, which happens in horse racing. The announcer for ABC Sports and Churchill Downs got confused. And he didn't recognize Foolish Pleasure. He called him by a different name, which is embarrassing for him, but for those of us in Williston who want to celebrate his victory and relive it. So I asked one of my racetrack friends in Chicago to do a voiceover. So we now have an audio and video recording announcing that Foolish Pleasure did win. I brought that video. I'm going to present it to the council, and if they would play it, we'll take a couple of minutes. Hopefully it's functioning. Foolish Pleasure is wearing number pad 4. He breaks from number 3. His colors are actually black and white, which is not the reason why I wear it black and white, but hey, it works. Do we have?
Yeah, he's doing it. I see him up there.
Fortunately, this isn't a basketball game that lasts 2 hours. It's the fastest 2 minutes in sports. I don't know how it can be a fast 2 minutes. That's like what weighs more, a pound of eggs or a pound of steel? They both weigh a pound. So while we have this lull, I just like to make sure that you have this so that if someone ever wants it or you want to use it for something, you have it. One of these days I'm going to die, and it's not going to do any good laying in the drawer.
Now, they're just about loaded, and we're getting ready for the 1975 Kentucky Derby here at Churchill Downs. A full field of 15 going into the gate. 3-year-olds, of course. They're loading up. Just a few more left to go in. This is the 101st Kentucky Derby. As I mentioned earlier, a field of 15, 3-year-olds loading up. One of the favorites, Avatar, being the next to load. Also taking some public support, Foolish Pleasure and Diablo. Just a few more, final call for your wagers as they continue to load here at Churchill Downs. We are set. They're all in the gate going 1.25 miles here at Churchill Downs. And they're off in the 1975 Kentucky Derby. And it's Bombay Duck going right to the lead. Rushing Man going right with him from the outside. Then in between those two, Honeymark looking for a bit of racing room. Avatar close up early with Diablo right there in 5th. Fashion Hell on the far outside gains ground 6th. Gatch in 7th. Round Stake down along the rail, followed by Media. Prince Thou Art is next as they run into the first turn. Master Derby is next. Foolish Pleasure, followed by Bold Chapeau. The trailing pair as they go around the first turn, Promise City and Sylvan Prince. That opening quarter in a snappy 22 seconds flat. And now they begin their journey on the backstretch, and Media has opened up a 4-length advantage. Avatar on the outside in second. Bombay Duck down along the rail, 3 lengths behind the leader. Another 3 back to Master Derby in 4th. Then it's Diablo, shuffled back to 5th. Fashion Sale out there in 6th. Foolish Pleasure down along the rail comes on 7th after a half and 45 3/5. Honeymark is next, followed by Prince Thou Art. Sylvan Prince is 15 lengths behind the leader. Bold Chapeau, Rushing Man, Promise City, the trailing pair into the far turn, Round Stake, and Gatch is now last. They move around the turn. Diablo has the lead now by 2, now by a head. Down along the inside, Avatar fighting back in second. Here's Master Derby picking up the leaders on the outside third. Foolish Pleasure, no place to go down along the rail. And Honeymark is coming on 5th. Around the turn, they're in the stretch. Diablo on the outside has his head in front. Avatar fighting back along the inside. Master Derby is next. Foolish Pleasure, still no place to go down along the rail. They line up 4 across the track with a furlong to run. Diablo, Avatar right there. Now Foolish Pleasure has clear sailing. Here comes Foolish Pleasure. Jacinto Vasquez on the outside. And Foolish Pleasure takes the lead in the final 50 yards. And Foolish Pleasure, Jacinto Vasquez to win the 1975 Kentucky Derby in a final time of 2:02 flat.
When you're in 7th place, you're supposed to take your saddle off and go back.
So that explains why we have a horse in the park. Right?
I understand that, but the announcer called him in 7th place at halfway.
Yeah, that's where he was.
You never know.
That's wonderful.
Any other public comments? You'll come to the mic and tell us who you are and what you live.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Wessel.
You're welcome.
We will treasure it.
Okay, my name is Jermaine Pitts. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to speak about this now, but I'm actually coaching the team, a young adult softball team here in Williston. They actually been playing for about 2 years, and what I've been noticing, they only can play on the road. They have to play in Archer, who have a nice facility, Orange Lake, who have a nice facility, they're not able to host here in Wilson because not a great facility for them to play city ball on. So my proposal to maybe you guys can put on your board to maybe not this year because it's not maybe not in your budget, but maybe next year is getting dugouts for the Cornelius fields out there. We have been working very hard to get it playable. I put a proposal out to a lot of people. I had a lot of phone calls. I live in Gainesville. They asked me to come back to coach this team, and I've been doing that. So a lot of the guys came out during their time to help get the field playable. So right now, if we're going to be able to host, I talked to Miss Jackie. She was saying we had to sign waivers. Our team have done that, and the other teams that we're going to try to get to come to Wilson also is going to get those waivers, so that way all that logistics will be done. So we're just proposing that hopefully within the near future, you guys can consider putting dugouts out there. Because right now, if we try to play in 2 weeks, we have to put a tent out there for them to sit on there as a makeshift dugout. And, if a little city of Archer can do it and a little city of Orange Lake can do it, big city of Wilson should be at least provide that much. That's all I'm asking. Like I said, I'm not trying to step on any toes or anything, but I'm trying to do this for the city of Wilson. Like I said, I don't live here anymore. I stay in Gainesville, but I put a lot of time in the youth back in the day here, over 17 years. So to come back to see it's a park out there, but it's not utilizing. These young adult ladies have been trying to utilize it, but, we're doing what we can do right now. So if you can put that, we would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is it allowable? Can I ask a question of you, sir? What do they need to practice there or just host games there?
Well, we've been practicing on the makeshift baseball field the best we can, but the softball field had so much grass on it. For the safety, I wouldn't practice no more.
Okay, so what days of the week would you normally hold your tournaments?
We normally practice on Sundays.
You would have your tournaments on Sunday.
Yeah. And it's not really a tournament. It's just like we'll go to a game. We'll host a game. So lately, they have to go away every Sunday or every other Sunday to play games.
Right.
So I'm just trying to find an opportunity for them to be able to host here to get the community of Wilson something to go do on a Sunday around about 5 o'clock. We normally start about 5, and normally we're done about 8:15.
Do all of those other fields have in-ground dugouts?
They got real nice.
Or do they have just covered areas with bench?
With a chain link fence, kind of like the WYA got right up there.
Okay.
It's not that fancy.
That's where I'm trying to go.
Yeah, it's not. We're not looking for concrete fancy, no.
Okay, not halfway in the ground like the ballpark.
That can be a dugout and maybe down the third base and the first base line to protect any fans that want to sit there. Y'all put a makeshift, backstop, but then they stop. Whatever reason, it didn't go any further. I have no clue why, but we're just proposing that hopefully we can get that advance.
I would be glad to talk to the WIAA to see if Sundays are available.
I reached out to them and they said would be no adult softball play on that field. I talked to whoever running that out there
recently.
Over the phone. Yes, I inboxed to see who, because like I said, I'm not familiar to who doing it now, but I reached out. He called me back. I asked him. He said, "We no adult softball played out there." I said, "Yes, sir," and I left it alone.
It may not be set up the right dimensions for bases.
Yes, it is, because I used to play out there.
The bases are
everything
correct.
is fine. It's a doable place to play.
Okay.
It would be great to utilize that until we can get that done out there. But when he told me no, I left it alone.
All right.
I'm that type of person.
I may talk to him anyway.
Okay.
If you will give somebody your contact information before you leave today, I would appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor.
Come back.
Listen, I'm new to this, so
I was thinking through your entire talk that this was children or teenagers, and then it came up, these are adults.
Young adult softball girls that decide to get, and older adults. It's a mixture. Yeah, because she even plays. It's a mixture of young adult softball. I actually got one little girl, she's maybe 14. Yeah, that wanted to come play, and she's pretty good at it. So it's, something we used to do a long time ago when I was here in Wilson. It kind of went away, and they kind of started it back. Give the young girls something to do, than hanging on the streets or, no disrespect, having kids. So to know I got 18 to 60-year-old girls that's willing to do that, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Big plus.
I just wanted to know what you meant by adult.
Yes, young people.
If it was a group of men out there playing,
No.
I'd tell them to go find a place they can play.
Right. No, these just women.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I mean, you can tell women that you have a right to speak whatever you want to
I'm
speak.
not brave enough to tell women that.
Me either. When they asked me to come coach, I couldn't tell them no. I was like, I would drive from Gainesville every day if I had.
Anyone else?
Yeah, we're going to see about that. See what I can do.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Madam President, may I speak?
Sure.
Chief Rolls, you're over there saying get it done. Would you be willing to work with me to do the building of this dugout? So that it's on you.
I think we need to figure. You mean at Cornelius Williams, we need to figure out what we're building where with the grant before we build anything permanent. So that's why I thought of a different location. Miss Jones could answer that better than me, but
Yeah, please don't build anything because it may be in the middle of where we're going to be putting a pond or something because that whole park has to be redone.
Right.
But we could maybe do something temporary for them for now, but not build anything. So I'll get with Jonathan, and we'll see what we can do for them right now.
and I'll let you know what I find out.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3, consent agenda. Council minutes from May 20th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion will pass with 3-0. Any updates? We're going to go with updates. Item 4, staff and board members. We'll start with City Manager Superdet.
Thank you, Madam President. All right, just a couple of updates. As you guys know, I attended the Florida City and County Management Association 2025 annual conference in Orlando last week. And the one session that I did want to kind of just talk about a little bit, especially in light of the conversation we're having with the fire assessment tonight. The last session I attended was called Taxing Times from Assessment to Allocations, Navigating Tax Reform in Florida. And as you guys probably are aware, property tax reform is being advocated by the governor, the House Speaker, Daniel Perez, and the Senate President, Ben Albritton. And basically where it stands right now is the House has proposed 5 different options for property taxes in the state of Florida. The Senate is still doing their research. They haven't put anything formal out. Their first recommendation is to require every city, county, and special district to hold a referendum on the question of eliminating property taxes on homestead properties. So I'm looking at Tammy because that would be fun to do a referendum on that. So that's one option. The second is to create a new $500,000 homestead exemption, as well as $1 million homestead exemption for properties owned by Floridians age 65 or older who have had a homestead for 30 years or more. Yeah, $1 million. The third is to authorize the legislature to increase the homestead exemption to any value by general law rather than by a constitutional amendment. The fourth one's kind of complicated. It modifies the assessment increase limitations on property values. For homestead properties, it changes the cap from the lower of 3% of the CPI to a flat 3% over any 3-year period for all taxes. And then for non-homesteaded properties, it changes the cap from 10% annually to 15% over a 3-year period. And then the last one, which everybody was sort of in agreement was pretty easy to do, is to protect home ownership by eliminating the ability to foreclose on a homesteaded property due to a property tax lien. And everyone was like, well, you can't do that right now anyway. Yeah, so that one we didn't really talk much about. But obviously the other ones were topics of conversation.
And it's the municipalities that have to have the referendum, not the counties.
Cities, counties, and special districts.
Oh, all of them.
All
Okay.
of them would have to have a referendum to eliminate property taxes altogether on homesteaded properties. So it was a very, very heated discussion, as you can imagine. So more to follow, obviously. Then today I attended a Rotary Club meeting with Chief Rolls. It was actually very entertaining. The Williston FFA conducted a mock meeting to showcase their parliamentary procedure. It was very entertaining. I asked them to come to the council meeting tonight so they could see what we do, but they had a conflict of interest. So anyway, just wanted to let you guys know about that, and that's all I have for tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, do you have anything? Chief Rose.
I think you might.
Council President, City Council members, Mayor, Manager, I want to introduce to you tonight our two latest hires, police officers.
Yeah, Donald's coming.
Thank you, Donald. I want to introduce to you our two latest hires for the police department. They've been hired to replace the two officers that we lost. First, I'll introduce to you Officer Witt. Secondly, I'd like to bring up Officer Flores. I call him Flo Rider. These are the two latest police officers that we've hired at the police department. We're excited to have them on our team and excited to have them serving our citizens within the city of Williston. So far, they've done a great job, so I think I'll go ahead and buy them some uniforms so they may stay a little while. So
Might be helpful.
they appear that they're going to do very well, and I think they'll be a very good plus to our city, and I think they'll do a good job serving our citizens. Now I will give them an opportunity to tell you a little bit about themselves and their experience.
Hello, everybody. My name's Alyssa Witt. I'm originally from Long Island, New York, although it doesn't sound like it. I've lived in Ocala for almost a decade here, and I did law enforcement down there before deciding to get a nice change of pace to Williston. So far, I've only been day 1 and 2, but doing pretty good, and I'm loving the people here, so happy to be here for the rest of my career. 8.5 years of law enforcement, specifically.
Nice.
Flores. Me and my family, we're from Connecticut. We've been out here for like 3 years now. We loving it. It's, nice weather all year round. I've been like 2 weeks in now at Williston, and it's been a great experience. Everyone is super helpful. I don't have as much experience as she does in law enforcement, but I worked at a school prior to being here, prior military. I did law enforcement a little bit in sheriff's office, so I got a little bit, but not as much. But it's been great. Williston is a great town, and I'm looking forward to this opportunity. So thank you for giving me a chance to be here.
So we all know it's so important that men and women get into this profession to do what we do, serve and protect. But it's also a great reminder for us to remember that behind these badges and behind these uniforms are family members, wives, husbands, children. Mr. Flores has his wife and children here tonight supporting him. That is so vitally important in this career because your emotions in this job are so crazy. They're up, they're down. 1 minute you're driving around bored to death, and the next minute you're doing CPR on somebody or you're chasing down somebody. So it is nice to have a support system, not just at work and here within the community and with city managers, but it's our city council and our city managers. It's also vitally important that we have a strong family structure. And for these guys and girls and ladies, it is so important to them that when they go home, not only do they feel supported by the community and the people that they serve and work for, but they feel supported by their family. So to the wives, to the husbands, to the children, as the chief of police, I want to say thank you for sharing them with us and giving them an opportunity to come and serve a great city like the city of Williston. Thank you.
And she wants to take your picture, so she wants you to come over here somewhere, like under the seal.
So I just have a question. Did we bypass anything? Don't we usually do something else or no? Or was that it?
He must have already pinned them.
I've already pinned them. They need to go to work.
Okay.
I've been waiting for a city council meeting,
Okay. All right. Welcome. Chief Stigl. Benton. Anybody else? Any other staff have any announcements? Go ahead.
I'm sure people saw the announcement on Williston's Facebook page, but we did want to talk about the last 2 days. We had some initial material dropped off for the Williston Fiber. So we actually have mobilization, and we're hoping to see construction here in the next week and a half. So we're excited about that. Just in putting that out the other day, received, another 40 pre-registrations. So not counting the crossings, we're at over 459, and that's not including the potential 400 customers in the crossings. So remember, we proposed 100 customers in the first year, so we're excited at the response.
So can you post where to register? I actually looked at the Facebook post, and when I looked at it, there was no link.
It's on there.
Is it there?
It's the same place. I've been putting it out. It's at willistonfiber.com, and there's a pre-registration in the menu.
Okay, because somebody was asking me today, and then it just suddenly showed up. And I did forward it to them, but I didn't see a link for registration.
It was in the description.
I'll look again.
Any other staff?
It's also on our Facebook page or website
I
too
know
for
it
the
was on
city.
the website. I've seen that there.
Council, do you have any updates or announcements?
I have 2 questions. That count as an update. I would like an update. How about that? I'm asking about the RFP for the top of the hill. You knew I would, right?
I did.
I haven't for a couple of meetings. So.
That is true. I am still working on trying to create language that does not box us into a certain type that is general and specific without being so specific that we're boxed in. I anticipate having it on the next agenda. I think I'm close. I don't think that'll be the final version, but I do want you all to sort of get a sense of where you are as far as what I've got so far.
Perfect. And I would, I'm actually going back to something Mr. Eckert brought up earlier, and I've been looking at that water leak in front of the Williston Furniture. I don't know how long it's been there, but it's been there for a month at least, 6 weeks since he brought it up.
So that is on an FDOT road, and so we have to coordinate with FDOT. We do not get to determine the repair timeline. We have contacted FDOT, and we are waiting for them to give us a schedule. Locates have already been called in. As a matter of fact, they've had to be recalled in because they're only good for 30 days. The proximity to 27 and the water line being directly underneath the FDOT sidewalk requires us to stage with them. They set up the zone, we make the repair, and then that very same day, we repair and replace the piece of sidewalks that we may have to cut up. All of that has to be coordinated, and it has to be directed by FDOT. We have no choice.
Okay, so just remind them, if you will. If it's been months, please remind them.
We speak to them and reach out, and it's a state agency. We do what we can.
I don't know when the last time you talked to them. If it's been a while, please do it again. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any updates or questions?
I have no questions. I just have an update. At the last council meeting, I had made the heroic effort to have the Williston cleanup on the 31st, but our city clerk had some tragic things happen in her life, and she is the person that I always lean on to find the forms that people have to fill out and all of the other information. I could have gotten some of it probably from Mr. Barber, but not the forms. And I elected to call those that had committed and said, look, I need to cancel it, and we'll reschedule it when we can. That's all.
So we don't have a new date yet.
We do not.
Perfect.
Kirsten, do you have any? Okay. All right. Item number 5, new business. Number A, discussion with possible action, Levy County Supervisor of Elections to conduct the regularly scheduled municipal elections. Levy County Supervisor of Elections, Tammy Jones.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I know last meeting you got a little bit of an update, and I apologize for the confusion, but I was supposed to be at this meeting, not the last meeting. So I just want to start off with saying one of my main goals when I became Supervisor of Elections 12 years ago was to form a better partnership with the municipalities in Levy County. Why? Because elections matter, and I want to make sure that the elections are run as smoothly as possible throughout Levy County, regardless if I'm in charge of them or not. So how did I do that? I started forming partnerships with your city clerks, with your managers. Depending on each city, they all run differently. And I started having trainings and started getting more involved, providing calendars. You guys helped me out a lot in 2021 when we formed a partnership to combine all the elections to one municipal election day. So that was a great help as we all formed to have the first countywide election a few years ago on the first Tuesday in April. So I believe that has been very successful. With that has come other challenges, but all in all, I believe that has probably helped our voters, hopefully, but I want to do more to help our voters. So in saying that, asking other supervisors throughout the state as I go to conferences and meetings, one of the things I ask them is, what do you do for your cities? How can we help them more to be the best they can be, to have great elections? And some of the county supervisors do conduct the majority of the election for each city or town. It varies. You guys are a city, Bronze is a town. It varies within Levy County. Going back a little bit, Levy County is very unique. Even though we're very small population-wise, we have many municipalities. I have not talked to a single small county that has had 8 municipalities like Levy County does. So that puts a little bit of hardship on me, trying to make sure each city is going the right directions and everything's going smoothly, and making sure they understand what the Florida statutes is when it comes to elections, which is very complicated. So in saying that, reaching out to these supervisors, I realize there's possibly more of a need for me to help more if I can, if you want me to. This is not for me to force myself on you, not for me to take over your elections, but just really to lend a hand in more. So I don't know if you have the proposal in front of you. So why does the elections office, why do you think we would be the most qualified to help do more for the regularly scheduled elections that Williston has? Number one, we are highly trained and educated on the election laws. This is our job. This is what we do every single day. Your city clerk, Latricia, has many other job duties. She's working on budgets and so forth. I'm not sure exactly her duties, but there's so much she's doing. Elections are just a side thing of her job duties. Another reason is I would like to see a more streamlined process where the elections are more smooth. And saying that, let me give you some examples. Is when each city is conducting their own elections, they canvass separately. So Bronson's canvassing their election at 7:30, 7:40 election night. Williston, if you would had elections recently, you haven't. So Williston really hasn't seen elections in years. But we have all these different elections going on. They're all being canvassed throughout the county. So I would like to streamline that process and bring it back to one central location to canvass the election in Bronson at the main elections office. So that would be a huge change for Williston. You guys are used to canvassing it next door, and opening the ballots at night and so forth. So the reason I propose that is we're having all these different canvassing boards. They're not educated in what a canvassing board does. So the knowledge there is very limited. If I can provide a canvassing board for you with your approval, so basically I would select 5 people, 3 canvassing board members, 2 alternates, bring them to you, or have clerk Wright bring them to you. And basically you would still approve them like your charter outlines, but provide you with people that actually understand the process, and that those ballots would be canvassed ahead of time, your vote by mails. Because right now what's happening in each city is you're waiting till election night, and you might have 100 to 200 ballots to open, and then it's 10 o'clock at night and everybody's wondering where the results are. By us canvassing them in a public meeting that's advertised, prior to that, we're able to process those ballots and get them in the machines and get them tabulated. We just don't release the results. So long story short is, while me saying we're streamlining it, we're able to take all the ballots from all the cities, open them up in a public meeting, run them through the machines with a canvassing board. Public's welcome to come, and that way we can get those out of the way. And then at 5 p.m. election night, we would finish up any outlying absentees we have to do at 5 p.m. through 7 p.m. when the deadline is to drop off. So there's a lot to that process, and we had some complaints in some cities, like they weren't done till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, just because the meeting doesn't really start till, because a lot of times you're meeting in the same room that your poll workers had the election in. So it takes a while to clean everything up, get your stuff out, everybody's set up and start your meeting. So long story short is, by the time the meeting gets started at 7:45, then you started slicing open ballots to get the vote by mails opened up. You're then talking 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, worst case, to be finished with the results. So that's what I mean by streamlining when I say I want to streamline the process. We provide consistency in the process. We have hopefully, when I say this, hopefully we provide a general trust from the public. This is something we do for a living. There's ever-changing election laws. There was talk of some major election law changes this year that did not happen. It was like 128 pages of election changes. It's tough for your city clerk to keep up with all those changes, and it's tough for me to really train your city clerk on every detail of every change, because we're still learning it and we're still trying to implement those changes ourselves. It also puts your city clerk in an unusual situation when their boss is up on the ballot. This has taken them and the conflict of their boss being on the ballot and them not having to worry about, the boss one of y'all coming to them, and just the conflict that exists there. And not that there's any wrongdoing happening, but that way that takes that Latricia, for example, out of that. Also, when a city clerk leaves their position, and who takes over? You know what I mean? So we can provide that consistency for you if that happens. If someone retires or goes on to another spot, we will provide that consistency for you. We're going to be there. And lastly, we want to be a central point of contact to the voters. Currently, if a voter needs an absentee ballot, it's very confusing. Do I call Levy County Elections Office? Do I call the City of Williston? So there's a really disconnect with voters don't know what to do. So we get a lot of people that, don't know all that. We made a great effort this year when the absentees expired. We reached out to all the city voters first. That was our priority since elections were coming up really quickly. And we reached out to every voter that had an absentee request on file last year, regardless if they actually voted or not. If they asked for an absentee, we sent them a letter and said, hey, do you want to renew your request? That way you're signed up for the city elections. And that was very successful, getting everybody re-signed back up. So that's just a highlight of some reasons why I think maybe our office should play a bigger role in helping conduct the election. So basically what I'm proposing is, and you guys haven't had elections in quite a few years because there's been the Form 6 issue. A lot of people didn't want to run for office. So I don't believe you guys have had an election since, does this sound right, 21? We're now 25.
That's about right.
I mean, we did hold
22.
Okay,
Yeah.
and 24, and I'm sure you all know this, we did your 24 special election, right? We did everything except qualifying and candidate reports. So we did everything. We billed the city of Williston nothing. I'm not in this to make money. I'm in this to make sure Williston's successful. And hopefully you felt like the election we conducted for you was good. And you're looking at really doing the same thing with me. And you're probably thinking, why would you want to take on more responsibility? Again, the things I outlined, there is a little bit of complexity with everybody being all over the place and trying to get canvassing boards trained and not the poll workers, but even the city clerk trained. So long story short, now that I've taken up probably 10 minutes, I have proposed to you a 2026 agreement. It's called the Interlocal Agreement, Election Agreement. And it outlines what my new duties would be versus what the city clerk's duties would be. So it's really, basically to sum it up, all your city clerk would have to do is notice that there's qualifying happening. So in plenty of time. So if a person wanted to run, like she always does. She would always present a resolution or ordinance. I'm not sure how that works. And basically in December-ish time frame, advertise that saying, hey, there's qualifying open. So that your city clerk would still do that. They would still advertise the notice of election, we call it. Your city clerk would also still qualify your candidates. I don't want that responsibility. I would like for your city clerk to continue qualifying your candidates. And lastly, the only thing left for your city clerk to do would be to continue receiving the treasury reports for the candidates. I would take over everything else. I would do any advertising there is. I would also do all the testing of the machines, hire poll workers for you, train your poll workers, send your vote by mail ballots out, receive your vote by mail ballots, and canvass your election in Bronson at the elections office. So in saying that, I'll leave the floor open to questions because I know 2 weeks ago when this got brought to the table, there was some questions and I may or may not have answers, but I definitely want you to feel comfortable and not feel pressured tonight to sign off on anything. You might need some legal guidance to make sure that we're not doing anything that's not within legal boundaries. So I just want to, and I'm a little bit disappointed that we don't have a full council. I have spoken to Council Member Cox, so I did update him on why I'm asking for this, so he is aware of what I was here for tonight. So, but I'll leave the floor up. If anybody has any questions or concerns. And like I said, this is a 1-year thing. If you read the end of the agreement, it would be renewable every year. So you're not locked in forever. This would be like, let's try this out. Let's see if it works. Let's see if you like it or don't like it. And so that's what I'm standing before you today. I'm going to every city and town except Fannin Springs. They're in a unique situation. They have both Gilchrist and Levy, so it's kind of a more difficult situation to ask Fannin Springs to join us. But I will be approaching every single municipality in Levy County. I've reached out to Inglis. I'm going to be reconvening with them because they only had 3 people present at their meeting. I'm also I went to Bronson last night and they pretty much agreed. They're not having an election next year, so there's no written confirmation of that, but they all shook their head yes. They definitely want to proceed with this idea. And it's a proposal, it's just an idea I had of what we can do to make elections better throughout Levy County. And maybe eventually we could put the elections on the primary ballot so everything would be tied in together. But I don't want to jump too fast without trying it off our ballot first to make sure that I'm not overstepping my abilities right off the bat. So it could even save you more money down the road, but I need to get a head start on trying this idea first. So.
Any discussion from council?
I can tell you the one part that I'm not real thrilled about. I don't have a problem with you picking the canvassing board. I don't have a problem with any of that. I don't like moving the canvassing board to Bronson. And maybe not even finding out the results that night even.
They will be on our website. So the fact that we're opening up ballots, I don't know how you know, our county elections, by 7:30 you'll know the vote by mail results.
But you'll have all the cities on the same day.
Results will be on the door. So when a poll worker gets done with the election, they actually post on the door the results.
Right.
So you're going to have the results, and they get put. Once we get a runner to bring the cards back that have the results and we upload them, we will immediately put them on the website. So we'll be probably done by 8 p.m. with everything. I promise you.
Anyway.
What's that?
We usually are anyway.
Yeah.
I
mean there is give and take here. I would provide more service to you. And the other negative thing about not joining this agreement would be I won't be here to support you.
The other thing in our packet, we have your proposal, but we also have a whole nother section that's in our packet. I don't know if it came from you or from the part that starts with State Statute 32.19, vacancy and candidacy.
Yeah, I didn't mean to include that.
Where did that come from? Because that's not at all what our charter says.
Yeah, no. And I apologize. It really should end with, the proposal should have ended with number 15. That's 25. If you go to the proposal, I don't know who's pulling that up.
It's the next thing. It's next. Yeah,
I apologize because really it should have ended with number 15 on the proposal.
Well, I can tell you, it totally confused me. I probably had to read it 3 times.
It was. So
And
I wanted the cities to, if you look at the proposal, one of the things on the proposal was, I encourage the cities to look at their charters and reflect on any vacancy in office and candidacy. As you know, Williston went through a time where, you had a vacancy due to no one qualifying. So I would really like the cities to look at those things.
But we appointed somebody.
Right.
So we didn't have a
really, to
vacancy
be
for long.
honest, I got to thinking about this. County and state offices are appointed when there's a vacancy. The only things that are ever have a special election is legislators. So even if the governor and the CFO and the commissioner of agriculture, they actually get appointed by the governor. They don't have special elections every time there's an opening. So I would like the cities, and I do, after 15, that should have stopped right there. After I sent it to Latricia, I'm like, oh man, once I went back and looked, then I saw that extra random stuff that I had little notes to myself. So, yeah. So just ignore that. I was trying to look up other cities on how they do it. So I just ignored that part. But 15 was kind of like saying I encourage the cities to look at vacancies and how you're going to handle vacancies in the future, because I don't want to have to do a special election every other month. Because
our charter is very specific what we do.
Yeah.
If it's within so many days, we do one thing, and if it's not, we do another.
Right.
And we usually wait till the
And
next.
that does make it tough because in 24, when we had the special election, I think we were a little bit outside the boundaries of what was really allowed day-wise. I don't think we fitted in that 60-day window maybe we did. I don't know. I think we were like really close. So I would still like the city to consider changing their charter to say when the vacancies occurs that it will be vacant till the next election, because you have elections every year. Currently. So currently, I mean, why not appoint somebody, and then you're going to turn around and have an election in 9 months? So why spend the money to have a special election? I mean, if I were to leave today at supervisor elections, we're not going to have an election for that. The governor's going to appoint someone for my position. So it's because of the cost of elections and the work that goes into those special elections. So I'm not telling y'all what to do. Again, I'm here to help. My goal 12 years ago was how can we partnership together? Because I will tell you the honest to God truth is not necessarily Williston, but elections were not necessarily the greatest throughout Levy County and municipalities. So I wanted to step up the game and make sure everyone understood the laws. There must be a canvassing board. You guys have always done all that, but it has not happened throughout Levy County. So, I mean, again, this is, if you don't want to do it, the only thing I will tell you is all my resources will be with the cities that are going to be joining in the agreement. So all I can tell you is I'm not going to say you're on your own. There won't be a staff person here election night if your city clerk has questions that need to be answered in person. So a phone call would do, if the city clerk had a question, a phone call would do. But I won't be to have, what we've been trying to do is have a person at each city, but we have seven potential elections going on. So I don't have 7 staff members. And we have to keep somebody in the office to answer any voters that may call the office.
I mean, your proposal doesn't mention this whole big section 32. The proposal itself.
Which one? Which part of it?
Your proposal that you gave to us doesn't mention the vacancies in candidacy.
No, it's number 15. It's encouraged to update those things. And the next few pages, it was just me with my notes, and they got included in the thing I sent Clerk Wright. So
yep, I saw your notes too.
Yeah. So that was very confusing. I apologize.
Because
I realized it after I almost
and
resent
all I'm
it to
really
her.
saying is we can't violate the charter that we currently have.
Yes.
By doing some of these things that are written here.
Yes.
Because they would be a violation of our charter.
Yes.
So that's really all.
But charters can be changed. You can put stuff on ballots to have the voters make changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're very familiar with all that.
Absolutely.
And Williston is you guys do a great job. This is nothing. This is, if you don't want to do it, I can go on my way, and that's fine. But I'm proposing this idea to everybody. So it's not just Williston. I'm proposing this idea to everyone in Levy County. If you want to table it, if Kirsten wants to look at some things, there might be some things that we need to discuss. That maybe your charter. Looking at your charter, I did see a few things that were very specific.
Yeah, there are a few things that we would need to change for the charter. What I can do, if you all have an interest in looking into this more, we can put it on an upcoming agenda with a formal resolution for the interlocal agreement, and then I can also give you a list of the changes that I think we would need to make, either to ordinance and or to charter in order to allow for this. So if that's something that you're interested in, I can bring that back to you.
Yes, please bring it back to us.
Are you interested in doing it?
Yes. So that's it. Now we're on the next item.
No, we're not. Stop it. So do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else except that we need to make a decision. I don't know how you feel. Probably that we need to wait.
I think we should table it.
We can certainly wait until the next meeting when you all have a full board, and we can take a vote if you want us to bring back something formal like a resolution. We can make that work.
Yeah. So I make a motion that we table it.
We have a motion first and a second to table this item, and it will be on the next agenda.
And I actually won't be able to be at the next meeting because in 2 weeks I'll be at another city. So you can just, if you want to let me know if you need me back at another meeting. I just do know I do have a conflict in 2 weeks. I could probably be at the one in a month, the first one of July.
Would you all prefer that?
Would that cause a conflict with time? Probably not for us because but we do have an election next year. Would that be a conflict? I mean,
what was the question?
The time frame, would it be okay, or would it be pushing?
It's a year. It's a year from now.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we have an agreement in place by the end of December.
Okay.
I mean, no matter what, we have to have an agreement. So, if you want any help from our office at all, I've gone to agreements a few years ago. I won't help the city at all without an agreement, just because I think that there needs to be a clear delineation of what the city's doing and what my job is. Especially for any lawsuits that happen, I want the courts to know what I did and what y'all did. It's just fair to everybody involved in the election. So
we could choose.
But again, I'm not hurt if you don't want to do it. I will say I think the majority of the cities will do it. And I can come back to you and say, hey, I had everybody but y'all. So, I mean, if you don't want to do it, I understand that is going to be my biggest hurdle is people want elections at their city. But remember, I did your city election for you last August, and we canvassed it right there in Bronson. So, I mean, it's not like it didn't happen just less than a year ago. So we've done this. It was successful, and we had no complaints from the candidates. A candidate that lost by 2 votes. We did the recount and everything with 0 problems. So this is what we do for a living. This is what we're good at. So I'm not saying me, we, my office, my people, they're what makes us successful. So. But I would highly encourage you to do it. But if you don't want to do it, it is your city, it is your charter, and I do know there's some charter conflicts after looking at your charter. Y'all's charter is very specific. The city clerk must do the absentee ballots. I struggle too, to be honest, providing signatures to your city clerk. I've been providing signatures, and I'll be honest, I feel that's a little bit of a conflict because signatures they're not for public record. I do provide them to the city clerk so they can verify signatures. But to be honest, I could be setting myself up for something bad there. So I will probably be getting some legal advice to make sure that I'm still okay to do that. So your city, I don't know how they would check signatures for the ballots, but I probably am going to be looking into that to make sure that if a city doesn't want to go along with this, to make sure, am I allowed to provide those signatures to a city for the use of vote by mails? So,
would you be opposed to doing part of the agreement and not all of it? I mean, you've given us the entire works. What if we want you to do the ballots and we want you to do all that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll still do the ballot, but you got to understand when I do the ballot, you're using our equipment. So
Right.
using our equipment,
Right.
you know,
we would definitely need your equipment,
Right.
obviously. I mean, and that if you did the
I
ballots,
provided
we
you
did
guys
the
the
equipment.
25 agreement that was signed. So, you know,
Right. I saw
yes,
that.
the only thing I won't be able to be here is election night. And I will tell you, most city clerks, they want someone from our office with them. Yeah, because it's a lot. And I provide checklists. I mean, I have literally tried to make it simply so easy for the city clerks, and it's still a real struggle. There is so much you have to know and have ready. It's not as easy as just counting ballots and releasing results. There's a lot to it. So, all right. Well, I appreciate your time, and I will wait to hear back from you guys.
Do we have any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right. So all in favor, we're going to have to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 3-0. So item number B, discussion with possible action, development of parcel 0504700000. Joaquin, and pronounce your last name, please.
Montserrat. Good evening, council, Mayor Goodman. So basically the reason for me being here is for you guys to consider parcel 05047000. That's a parcel that the city of Williston owns right across the street from a small development that I'm actually working on right now, and consists of 5 units. I don't know if you've seen it or not. The reason that I think this would be interesting for the city, right? It's our developments are meant to be affordable and aesthetically pleasing. That lot in particular has a few trees that I feel are beautiful. They're, I don't know, many, many years old, and we would not touch those. We would just build around them, even though that means restraining the amount of units we can put there. As I said, our development is basically an affordable development. They're turnkey villas. $239 is the target price per unit, and that is turnkey, meaning not only all the appliances, fencing. I mean, it's just bring your clothes and you're in. Our villas, our small scale affordable housing development, I think is vital for our community. I am trying to build around that area, which I think is going to have a direct impact on, the pricing for that area. It's going to bring a different mix into the community. These are targeted to first-time home buyers or people who want to scale down. So it will bring some diversity into the community. Ultimately, it'll generate revenue directly and indirectly for the city. So I would just like to see if you guys can consider selling that 2.5-acre parcel that's right across the street from those 5 units.
I knew when I looked at this map it was our property. I even got on the property appraiser's website and looked it up. Wow. Okay.
So do we need a resolution, or we need a...
So what I would like is a little bit of direction from you all. I spoke with Mr. Montserrat a few moments before this meeting. Currently, the procedures that you have and the policies that you have for real estate sale are that you put out a sealed bid, and people bid, and then you choose the highest and best bid, or you can reject all the bids and send it back again for another round. What is becoming a sort of more commonplace procedure, and you could change your policies to do this if you wish, is to provide for one of two things. Either provide that you retain an appraiser and you get an appraisal on the property, and then have that be your minimum value. Right now we have your minimum value on your bids typically comes from the property appraiser's website, which I think everyone knows is a little bit low typically. So that's one of the options. The other option that you have is, I guess, technically three options. There's a sub part of that one that you could get an appraisal and then bid out or accept offers from individuals on a non-sealed basis, sort of first come, first serve, and then whoever can prove that it's highest and best use and the best bid. So if someone wants to put a park somewhere and someone wants to put a, I don't know, something that you wouldn't want in the city, then obviously maybe the park would be the one that wins out, even if the bids were comparable. So that's another option. Or you can provide for your policies to allow you to list it with a realtor, if that's something that you choose. So right now you have the sealed bid option in your policies as they currently stand. You can move forward like that, or you could choose any of the options that I've just presented to you. If you even have any interest in selling the property. So the first thing would be that we would need your staff to determine if it's actually surplusable. Do you need it?
That was going to be my question. Are we looking to sell it? Does a realtor have it, or are we even wanting to sell it? Yes, Donald.
Yes, Madam President. So I can only speak for utilities. Just north of the site, I gave you guys a larger map so you can see the greater area. I know Councilmember Jones is more familiar with the area. Just north of this site is Williston Peanut. We do have major gas distribution points, commercial points that we have to have inspected every year, and that is something that we have prepared in the future to do expansion. We have, with the development that's slated to go in this area, we have potentially a lot of need for wastewater improvements. This is on one of the major paths to that improvement. And utilities would recommend that the city not part with this property because we see in our capital improvement plan as being vitally important to the future of some of our growth with utilities.
And I can tell you it's a pipe dream, but for years we've looked at an industrial park that sits on 41 at the airport and some kind of a shipping warehouse or distribution center in that area. If we could attract such a person, we've talked about this for years, it's never come to pass, and building a railroad spur from 41 to that particular piece of property where we could have a loading dock and offshoot and to load onto the rail.
Which the city does have the option with CSX on.
Right. And I know that's always been, in the back of our mind. You'd have to have a company. Obviously, we can't build a railroad spur. Some big distribution company would have to want to do that. And they'd have to want to ship by rail instead of by bus or plane or whatever, or truck. And again, we've talked about that for years, but it's never come to fruition. But that's one reason we've never parted with it. And we've owned it forever. I mean, forever and ever. Since I was a kid, we've always owned it. And that is forever and ever. That's just a comment I would make. I mean, they're beautiful development.
Thank you.
What you've built so far is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Donald a question, though. Hey, do you... Oh, I'm sorry. I would like to ask, the question is the following. Do you need the entire 2.5 acres, or would you be willing to part, let's say, with half of it?
Mr. Barber?
So, Madam Chair, I think that if we were to consult engineers, and I'm definitely not an engineer, but I work with them closely, and I would say that if you're talking about a railroad spur, you're talking about a gas gate station, you're talking about lift stations and things of that 2.5 acres evaporates very, very quickly. So to section it off, I mean, If you're talking about some property along 6th Street, I can see that possibly, but again, that should be a question for an engineer to look at our capital improvement plan, look at future growth metrics, and have them determine and make a recommendation as to whether or not that's something that should be split.
Alexa or Mayor, do you guys have any comments? No questions? You're still confused.
No, I get it now.
Oh, okay.
But in this part, I was
Gotcha.
confused.
And let me just say, if you go to the Dollar General and you hang a right and you go down to where the baseball field is, the high school baseball field, that's where we're talking about. There are some other industrial sites that are down there that are not just the peanut plant, but there are a couple of other industrial sites down in there. It used to be the metal company, but I think that he sold it, and I'm not sure what's in there now.
It's on your map. Williston, storage, climate controlled, and then just above that is the manufacturer.
Okay, gotcha. So that's where we are, behind the baseball field. Matter of fact, somebody told me the other day that their parents grew up where you've built the building already. And I don't know if you saw it on Facebook that you were going to be digging, what do you call it when the ball goes the wrong place? Help me. Huh?
Foul balls?
Foul ball. They're going to be digging foul balls and off the roof because they had many that they had thrown back during games. So it was the old Watson property there. So I thought that was cute. I don't know where we want to go with it. What do you think?
I mean, I think we should take staff's recommendation into consideration and maybe table it until he can speak with
the engineers
and
probably a good idea. I'm good with that.
So do we need a vote or can we just do unanimous?
We can just bring it back to you.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item C, discussion with possible action, request approval for sealed bid to sell vehicles. Vehicle 131, VIN 2C 3CDX AG8 DH 701204 2013 2013 Dodge Charger. Police Chief Mike Rolls.
Yes, ma'am. This is an old vehicle that we had assigned to the airport, but last week we swapped it out and gave the airport the Impala, the Chevy Impala, which was a very nice vehicle compared to what they had. So we have no use for this vehicle anymore, so we would like to do a seal bid on it. And we're requesting permission to do so.
Do we need a resolution, or can we approve it as it sits?
You can approve it being surplus, and we'll come back to you with the documents.
As a resolution, okay. I move that we approve the seal bid on the sale of the vehicle number 131.
Second.
We have a motion first and a second. We will now vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Item number D, discussion with possible action. Request approval to donate vehicle 152. VIN number 2C 3CDX AT5F H 925191 2015 Dodge Charger to the town of Jennings Police Department. Request by Chief Atkins. See letter attached. Police Chief Mike Rolls.
Yes, ma'am. This was brought to me at a chief meeting in Perry. They asked if we had any vehicles that we could probably donate to them. We do have one that I would be willing to donate if approved by the council. What I would say about that is, you know, we've been blessed in the past to have vehicles donated to us, and I think you have to pay it forward as well. So this is another brother and sister law enforcement agency that is in desperate need of a vehicle. I've talked to the chief several times, and I'm requesting permission, if council approve, to donate said vehicle to the town of Jennings Police Department. It is currently a vehicle that we're not using, and it will help us get some of these vehicles off of our insurance.
Any discussion? No discussion from council?
I make a motion that we approve the donation of vehicle 152 to the town of Jennings, Florida.
I second. Any discussion from the public? If there is none, we will vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those who are opposed? We have a motion. We have a vote of motion passes 3-0. So item number E, discussion with possible action to ratify seal bid to purchase 2 patrol vehicles from the city of Dunellen in the amount of $16,000 to be paid from the current police department's budget if bid is approved by the city of Dunellen. Police Chief Mike Rose.
I am glad to report that last night I attended the city of Dunellen's workshop meeting, at which time they spoke about the seal bid for the vehicles that they're liquidating, as well as other equipment they're liquidating. I did ask for permission to go ahead and place a seal bid. I was the only one that placed a seal bid, and last night they accepted it unanimously, as well as they accepted our offer to buy their current firearms. So I'm glad to report that the council of Dunellen was very excited that we received this. So I'm just bringing it back to you all to let you know that the seal bid was accepted, and we would like to move forward with taking possession of those vehicles, which will be in their next meeting on June 11th, because it was a workshop, so they can't make any decisions. So on June 11th, they will approve everything, and then we can take possession of the vehicles.
So what type of investments do we have to do with the vehicles?
The only thing we would have to do, the vehicles are fully equipped. The only thing we would have to do is above police, they have Dunellen. They're ghosted vehicles, so we would have to take that off currently right now, Dunellen, and we can have Williston put on there until we decide to get them restriped. But as far as equipment, they have the cages, they have the gun racks, the computer stands, lights, siren box, cameras, everything. The vehicle is completely outfitted. Once we get it serviced to make sure that it's road ready, then we can put them out on patrol.
Okay. Yeah. Any other comments from council?
It's a great investment.
Any comments from the public? Does it have to be, since it's already done, a vote? Do we still need to carry a vote?
Yeah.
We just need a vote. Can I get a motion?
Want a motion? You want me to make? Okay, I move approval to ratify the sealed bid from Dunellen that we've made to Dunellen for the 2 patrol vehicles in the amount of $16,000 to be paid from the current budget.
I second. We have a first and a second. We'll move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Item F, Resolution 2025-67, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving a quote from Paradigm Construction for repair of Williston's library facade, authorizing appropriate parties to sign any other documents required to effectuate such actions on behalf of the City of Williston, authorize staff to negotiate a final contract agreement related to the same, and providing an effective date. Utility Director Jonathan Bishop.
Yes, ma'am. So all the work has been done to the inside of the library. This is just the final piece to match up the marble with the existing marble for the facade and the outside.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
You want questions later? Okay. Move we approve resolution 2025-67.
And a second. We have a first and a second. Now we'll have discussion.
So tell me why in the world is $26,000?
Matching up the color of the marble, because the marble was, yeah, I'm sorry, the granite, not marble. But anyways, to match up the same color. We could have got it cheaper, but it been off color. It would look totally weird, and the building would never look right again.
So did we not buy the material?
Negative, not the marble, no, ma'am.
Okay. Because somebody had told me that we had the material already. We just needed somebody to put it up.
No, so
that's not the case.
Yes and no. So the company that we went with, they had it already.
Right.
But that's paying for the granite and having the installation all in is what the price is.
Okay.
And the insurance check will cover it. So it's
I started to say, and I know we did an insurance claim.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any roughly how much that was?
Somewhere between 30 and 31. I don't remember the exact number, but it was 30-ish, under 31.
That makes me feel better.
So the big thing is the weight, the vertical wall, the highway, the DOT,
right,
and the liability of that.
Yeah, I realize that part. I realize the installation is the hardest part.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
But like I said, somewhere I'd heard that we had purchased the material.
We never
I saw
purchased
the material was in here as well.
Yeah, no, we never purchased it. We had it available, but then it was getting somebody
But we
to put
didn't
it up.
purchase it. We decided to get it from him instead.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Got it.
Any other questions from the council? Mayor? Any public comment? Mr. Mayor, did you have something?
No, I just was leaning forward for Aaron to say I had no problem.
You're so good.
All
She's
right.
got your train.
Then we'll take it to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
So now we're going to open up public hearing, and that's going to be preceded by...
We're skipping, right? We're skipping.
There's another one. I thought there was
Turn
another one.
page.
I know, right? By Kirsten Ballou.
So this is your first reading of ordinance 2025-755. This is an ordinance of the City of Williston, Florida, amending the City of Williston Code of Ordinances as amended, providing for the addition of Chapter 2, Article 9, to be titled Fire Services Assessment, providing for definitions, interpretation, general findings, legislative determinations of special benefit, applicability, and alternative method, providing for general authority, initial proceedings, and assessment role, providing for notice by publication and mail, providing for adoption and effectiveness of final assessment resolution, providing for adoption of annual rate resolution, lien of fire services assessments, economic hardship program, and revision to fire services assessments, providing for irregularities, correction of errors and omissions, and interim assessments, providing for method of collection and alternative method of collection, providing for codification, repealing any inconsistent provisions, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. So this is your fire assessment ordinance. To break it down for you from a 10,000-foot view, your fire assessment is in 3 main steps. This is how you're going to implement it. The first step is an ordinance that allows you to implement a fire assessment. That's what you have in front of you. You'll have 2 readings of this ordinance. The next step is something that I'm working with your consultant, Accenture, with on right now, which is your initial resolution. That is the part that's going to set the rates. So nothing in here sets the rates. There's no rate discussion in this ordinance. This ordinance only allows you to adopt rates through the resolution process. That's going to be on your next meeting. And then you'll have a final resolution, which will occur at the meeting following next. So your first meeting in July. So just to sort of give you a sense, I imagine everyone was sort of looking through here trying to find what are the fire assessment rates going to be. And that's not in here.
Well, it sort of is. All the comparisons are here, put it that way.
Well, we've
and what
provided,
he wants it to be is in here.
We've provided you with the information, but
Right.
the ordinance itself, what you're
Doesn't have
approving, does not have any rates set. So this is just to give you have additional backup information so that you know sort of what we're talking about, but the ordinance itself just puts forth the policies, procedures, etc. Okay, so I'll hand it over.
Do you have any questions to me on this? You understand what it is? Everybody understands what it is.
So it's the adoption of a resolution that allows us to move forward.
That is correct.
But it's not establishing a rate.
No, ma'am. That'll be established at a later time.
And you and Kirsten have discussed all of this in detail, and everything has been looked at and
So this ordinance
verified.
is taken from one of the things that municipal attorneys do is we look at what other municipalities have done successfully without lawsuits, and then we take that and we copy it because that's the safest thing to do. So this is very similar to the enacting ordinances of many other municipalities in this general area. The consultant that you're working with, Accenture, did review this, and they had no comments.
I make a motion we approve first reading of ordinance 2025-755.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion for discussion.
All right. I have a first and a second. You want to start the discussion?
No, I want to hear what everybody else has to say.
Okay. Anybody in the public have anything to say?
Yes, my name is Tim Ecker. Live in Wilson, Northwest, 2nd Street, 225. My question is are y'all dead set on this, passing this fire assessment? I mean, because really and truly, there hasn't been, I mean, you posted online, but why wasn't it in the paper like it was for the returning Williston City Council? I mean, shouldn't it be in the paper for everybody to know about and for Williston instead of just putting it online?
We do advertise between first reading and second reading, so it will be there before we do anything else with it.
Yes, ma'am. And, I mean, it's really confusing about why shouldn't this be on a regular voting referendum instead of for 5 people to vote on instead of the citizens? The citizens should be voting on this, not 5 people. I mean, I'm not saying y'all are competent, but I feel like this is like mob mentality. You're forcing this on us whether we want it or not. I mean, isn't it enough? Or the waters went up and everything else has went up, and everybody's having to readjust everything for where the economy is, and why should this be pushed down our throat? I mean, the fire chief don't live here and pay our taxes. He lives out of the county.
He's paying the county his fire assessment.
Irregardless, he's not paying the water bill and everything that we're paying here either. I mean, I'm just saying, I understand we need a fire department for a certain degree, but, you know, Levy County just more than doubled their funds for this previous year coming. And the general fund is $66 million, and when I looked online, 12% goes to the fire department, which is $7,920,000. They get 12%. I mean, they get 12% of the $66 million.
Who they?
The Levy County Fire Department.
No, we're not the Levy County Fire Department.
It's part of the county.
No, it's totally different.
Well,
they don't commingle funds.
Something's wrong. I mean, then why can't you just put it on fuel tax? Put on some fuel.
Because the county already has a fuel tax.
Why can't Wilson adopt one?
Because it doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Like the $5.5 million is still missing?
It's not missing. They've got it.
Well, there's nobody's came up with it, and it's been a while since I came up here and said something about it. Is it still missing? What about 33 years of it?
The county collects it, and it's for the county, not for us.
Yes, ma'am, but it's your responsibility to find out where it's at, too.
But it's not for us.
It's for the police departments.
No.
You go online and look, it says most of it's for the police department.
It's for the sheriff's office.
Well, okay.
Not the police department.
Well, that ain't what it says. Well, this fire assessment, Everybody you talk to, they are firmly against it. And most of them don't want to come up here because they're afraid that y'all going to send the code enforcement against them.
Oh, gee.
Oh, I'm serious.
Tell them to come on. Yeah, tell them to come
Well,
on.
then you ought to tell them that. This ought to be posted in the front page, not like right now. This has been done wrong.
Madam President,
Yes, sir. Mayor.
I have a question,
Mhm.
and perhaps the city manager can answer it. Do we not pay county fire assessment in the city? Okay.
We do not.
You know, a lot of the other things, it's a well-known fact by people who are part of the city but are not part of the city, that don't want to be part of the city, because we pay county taxes and city taxes on top of it, which is double taxation by any standards. But as far as fire assessment, we do not do that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that correct, Sue? All right, thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
Madam President, I do want to speak to this because, again, I was very much responsible for passing this in the town of Bronson. And we actually when we passed it at the same rate as Levy County, which was $129 per residence, and then increased it last year to $137. And I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons that I really pushed for this was because, number one, there's uncertainty with what's going to happen. I've mentioned this before, but there's uncertainty with what's going to happen with the county. So the current county manager has a very long history of fire background. She was in fire for 30 years, and she has said that when she has time, she's obviously been very busy with a lot of things going on with the county, but when she has time, she wants to look at how the county funds are divvied up between all of the municipalities. Because Chiefland and Williston now get the most amount of money. They get $400,000, and other municipalities get less. So that is one reason that we really should be looking at, this fire assessment. The other is what I talked about earlier tonight, was the property taxes. We don't know what's going to happen with the state. If they decide somehow to reduce what the municipalities are going to get, that's going to directly impact our police and fire departments, because our general fund really funds those two things. So, I do encourage you to at least pass the ordinance. It's not, as Kirsten said, it's not going to, set the rates. You guys can still think about the rates. And, Lamar did a good job of putting what all the different municipalities are charging, everything from, the $137 in Bronson, $159 in Chiefland, $129 in Levy County, $223 in High Springs, and $200 in Newberry, which I can speak to because I pay that every year myself. So, you can at least pass this tonight and then think about what you would want to set the rates at. But I really highly encourage this tonight for you guys to pass this. Thank you.
Any other discussion from the council? We're getting ready to vote. If you guys have nothing else. Okay. No other discussion? All right, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion is carried 3-0. We will now close the public hearing. So item I, discussion with possible action, overage of allotted vacation hours, city manager, superintendent, and finance director Stephen Bloom. Is Mr. Bloom on?
He's not. He just put the information together for me.
Okay.
Okay, so in your council packet tonight are the updated figures. We actually just updated these a few days ago with the 15 employees that have over 288 vacation hours. As we mentioned in the last meeting, Kirsten was going to give us kind of a legal opinion as to what we could do with this. I'm going to pass it over to her for right now.
So your policies currently, they give you a little bit of wiggle room, but not a ton. It doesn't really contemplate a situation like this. My counsel to you would be that you can pay these out at 100% if that's what you choose to do. It's probably the least controversial option other than financially. You could also, under your policy, have these be paid out upon termination or resignation. If that's what you choose to do, your policy allows that. Your policy doesn't really contemplate excess of 200 hours. I don't know that we have I can't recall if it's 200 hours, but in excess of what your policy is. It doesn't really contemplate a situation in which that happens because it says that's generally what's allowed. Now, it doesn't say that you're never allowed to go over that. It does say that if you have permission from the appropriate individuals, i.e. your supervisor and city manager, and I'm not sure that we have detailed documentation on whether or not that happened in every single one of these instances, and I think it would be very difficult to prove that it was not permitted and authorized. So your options are to pay it out at 100%. Pay some of it out and pay some of it at termination or resignation, or sort of pay all of it out at termination or resignation, which is really sort of what's contemplated under your policy. But those are your options, generally speaking.
But if we paid it out at termination, we have to pay the full amount on top of what we pay them for terminating them.
Right. It would be in addition to any other termination, or separation, retirement of benefits that they would receive. That is correct.
One of the things to keep in mind, I know Donald brought this up before, is that, these are only, I know it's a big chunk, $77,000 is a lot of money, but it is only going to get more expensive as people stay here longer and longer and get raises on top of them. So if, Jonathan, for instance, who has the most amount of, accrued time, if he leaves in, say, 5 years from now, this is definitely going to be a larger chunk in 5 years than it is currently.
Because the payout rate under your policy is at the time that they terminate or resign.
So you couldn't freeze this.
So you can't freeze it.
Can't put it in the bank.
No.
Nothing that allows us to do that.
Nothing that allows us to do that.
Do we currently have the funds to pay it for?
I mean, I haven't asked Stephen that question. What I asked Stephen was what his recommendation was, and it was to move it to comp time. I didn't ask him specifically about where it would be coming from. So I can ask him that if you wanted to table it and discuss it next time. I could ask him that.
So we can move it to comp time as well. Kirsten?
Yes, that's an available option. I apologize.
So if we moved it to comp time, currently, what are they at? Are they below the threshold? Are they at the threshold? Are we going to continue to add comp time because they're going to go over if they're not utilizing their
Well,
time?
if we move them, we're going to drop everybody down to the 200 hours, so they have time to then still accrue more.
Okay.
So that would be a safe way to do it. I mean, that's definitely not what the majority of the employees want, just FYI. The majority of the employees would like the payout now.
So how are we going to, if we put it into comp time, how are we going to make sure that staff is actually taking time off and using that is comp?
We'll have to enforce this 288. We'll have to enforce it now.
So with the, give me a second. So with the 288, if they get to 288 and they go over the year, are they going to lose that? How are we setting that up going forward?
I mean, that's how Edmunds is, the new software is designed, yes.
There now.
Yes. We've had to finagle it to get to this point because that's really not the way the system works currently, yes.
So what I would say is, and to just jump in, we can't say, okay, well, if you don't use this time, then you're going to lose this time because we have authorized and gone through this process. I would not recommend going forward with a policy that says if you don't use your comp time by X, then you get no compensation for it. There are different policies and different ways that you can go about it, but what is a hot button litigation topic is saying, okay, you need to work overtime, and then you haven't had an opportunity to, is generally what the narrative is, by the end of the year, take your comp time, and so now we've forced you to work, and we've not compensated you for your time in any way through either comp time that you've taken off or through payout. So just want to make sure that we keep that piece.
So let me clarify. I was speaking not related to that is overage at this time. I was speaking as in
vacation
for going
Moving
forward.
forward, yes. We are encouraging people to take their time off now.
And are you advising them that if they do not, then
We haven't gotten that far. We're still waiting to see what happens
okay,
with this first.
gotcha. Okay. So, go ahead.
Is there anything in the HR manual about payout of comp time on separation?
It says comp time is paid, if I remember correctly, and I'm sure I could pull it up again, but my recollection is that comp times pay out 100% of the rate at your termination or separation at the time of termination or separation.
I wasn't sure about comp time.
Yep, comp time as well.
Chief Rose?
You're still kind of in the same situation because comp time is still a unfunded liability. So whether you move it to comp time or not, the dollar amount's not going to change. You're still going to have that unfunded liability. So I'm not really understanding the moving it to comp time because you still got to pay it. If they left tomorrow, you still got to pay the same amount of money. Am I right, Kirsten? So I don't understand the moving it to comp time, what you're going to accomplish by doing that.
The fact that we don't have $77,000.
But you're still going to have $77,000 worth of debt.
But I can pay a little bit at a time as people leave. Instead of 70, well.
I mean, the only difference is, let's say 2 people leave this year, 3 people leave next year. That's what Councilor Jones is saying. You're not going to pay $77,000 out because they're going to leave.
Yeah.
It's staggered. Kim, do you have anything to add to this? Any thoughts?
Well, I didn't even see Kim back there. Or I would have asked that HR question to her. She's hiding behind Mr. Eckert.
I mean, it's really just pretty much, do you want to pay interest or not? Because we don't have anything that, we don't have a use or lose policy, really. We don't. I mean, I can tell you about my experience in the military, but that's a completely different animal. You don't use it, it is gone. There's no payout. So, but we don't have anything that actually puts that in writing. Like, straight up, you go to this many hours, or, it's poof. So, I mean, it just depends on really how you want to, are you willing to pay the interest? Are you willing to take a loan out with the employees and pay the interest that may come with it? But capping the hours, we would actually have to kind of enforce that. We'd have to set up like a block leave type thing to where nobody's rejected due to how many how many people we have on leave. So that's one way to mitigate this from happening in the future. But right now, there's really, you only have 2 options, and that is take a loan out with the employees if you look at it that way, or you pay out now. But to mitigate it in the future, block leave is something that we can all visit. I don't know how we would do it because of, lifeline necessities. Or maybe put a certain percentage, maybe figure out the time of year where, all right, we don't have this many storms, or, just look at historicals and maybe authorize up to 30% have to stay on. So you get that coverage. We might have to pay the overtime, but that's a way to move forward, is kind of adopting maybe a block leave era of it to prevent it. But for right now, we can put a Band-Aid on it.
Thank you. Mr. Barber?
Yes, Madam President. I understand all the options that were just presented. Just keep in mind, and Chief can speak for himself and Chief Lamar for himself. I can tell you, as far as utilities with essential services, if we were staffed like GRU or the city of Ocala or some of the larger counties, that's a great idea. The problem is we're staffed to essential need. So, for example, let's say that you have 3 people that are licensed for gas that are on duty. If one goes on vacation and then one calls out sick, you don't have the necessary staff to respond to something according to what the standards are of safety, whether it's the Public Service Commission, whether it's the FDEP, whether it's FDOT. I mean, So, you guys have to keep that in mind, too, when we talk about these strategies to mitigate people not taking leave or forcing them to take leave. At the same time, the water, the gas, the sewer, the security of their safety, fire safety, all these things have to be taken into consideration. Those same level of services have to be delivered, whether you have 80% of your staff on vacation or not. So I just wanted to make sure that, that's something that's certainly brought up and considered.
Madam President.
Yes, Mayor.
I'm going to form this in the manner of a question again, and I'm directed to the city manager, if I may. If you are paying this at the time that the person leaves, and for discussion's sake, let's say it's 200 hours. Those 200 hours would then be paid at the current rate that they were making when they leave, not the rate that they were making at the time that they had it. That is a very important point that the council should consider, because you're talking about interest and everything else. These people have been getting 3 to 5% every year. And if they stick around for 20 years, you just added a large percentage to the payout of this amount of money. I know it's difficult. I personally don't think it should have ever been allowed to happen, but that's not my job. But I just want to make sure the council has all the information so they can consider it.
And this is their current
It's not
rate of pay.
just, pardon me?
This is their current rate of pay today.
Yes, this is their current rate. In 10 years, if they go another 10 years, this probably won't be their current rate of pay, and you will be paying their time off at their current rate of pay 10 years from now. That's all I'm suggesting, and I'm not making any recommendation. I just want to put that thought out there for the council.
Chief Ross, did you have something else? You did this.
Well, the council has spoken and asked about the funds and where the funds are coming from, and if we have the funds. Well, let's take the scenario of we don't have the funds, so what do we do now? So is there a possibility of half now, half later? That way the impact is not so great in the beginning, and you can kind of spread it out a little bit, still monitoring the hours to make sure that it doesn't continue to do what it's doing. So it may be a time where we don't have the $77,000, but we may have 40 or 35,000 that we can afford to pay out now, and then next budget year look at finishing out the rest of it. Just an option.
I agree. I was going to suggest that. Thank you. Ms. Deborah.
You sure? I have another question, and to whoever. What is our policy about an exempt employee getting comp time? When you look at this, it's like 7 or 8 of these people are exempt employees. I mean, they're not hourly; they're exempt.
So our comp time policy doesn't delineate between exempt and non-exempt.
I mean, I don't know how an exempt employee gets comp time. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I mean, if they're paid so much a pay period or so much a month, how do they accrue comp time?
How they accrue straight time. It's the same thing.
Madam President, I can answer that question. So a couple of ways that they were able to accrue it. One is that there's specific assignments or things that have happened in the past historically for exempt employees where they were given permission that in lieu of certain things, they were given and able to comp. Like, let's say they went out and they worked an exorbitant amount of hours. Or let's say we had storms back to back and they couldn't then turn around after the recovery and take the time. There were city managers at the time that assigned comp time.
And I hate to interrupt you, but I know that some of this is old, before
Yes.
people were exempt.
Yes, and
By
that's the
looking
other
at
one.
the names, I can tell that. But it's the other, now moving forward, they should not be accruing comp time.
Well, I agree with that, but I'm
So
just saying,
start there, if you will.
I think historically, we don't receive comp time, but you have special circumstances where it has occurred. The other thing that was done previously, I think 3 city managers ago, which would have been Mr. Littman, there were a couple instances from my recollection where you had an employee or employees who and I just lost my train of thought. Son of a gun. Anyways, they actually assigned comp time, and there was a reason behind why they assigned comp time, and I don't recollect right off the top of my head why that was done, but there was actually agreements in people's files as to the reasons why. So it has permeated throughout the time, and then Ms. Deborah, as you mentioned, many of us were non-exempt and then became exempt.
Right, and I realized that by looking at it.
Right.
I can pretty much sum up who those were.
And the way that your policy is written is essentially that obviously your the first option is overtime. Comp time is allowed basically upon agreement, upon authorization. In lieu of cash for overtime, you can enter into essentially an agreement with proper authorization and the employee in order to provide comp time.
And I'm here to say right now, if we don't have a form that actually gets signed off that says that, we probably need one.
So I recollect what I was saying. Before, previously, we didn't have delineated safety time, bonus time. You know, there's like attendance, not calling out sick, and other specific things in the handbook that allow you to have certain dates. That's for exempt and non-exempt employees. So, for example, every 6 months, if you don't call out sick, every employee in the city of Williston earns an annual 8-hour leave. Before, we didn't have those categories. It used to all go into comp. So that was the category that it went to. So a lot of them were built up that way, and then we started when Edmonds and ADG broke it out. They broke it out as now it appears on your payroll as safety time, as administrative time, and now comp time is separated. But unfortunately, back then we didn't have that delineation. It was simply comp time, and so that's how exempt employees also got it in there. Initially, it was that extra bonus time that was awarded. Personal time was on that as well. Before we adopted a particular holiday, everyone got a personal holiday added each year. That also went into comp time because it could be used at any time. It wasn't considered annual leave. So those are some of the ways how it appeared.
All right, thank you. Last question from Kim.
I just have, so can we move it instead of comp time? Like, pull that off? And then what about other?
Oh, well, that's because you're a salaried employee. You're not used to, and what you've got on here, I'm sure, is before you became the chief.
Chief.
When you were an hourly person.
So this is what I'm.
Yeah.
This
You
is
can
what
look
I'm
at
gonna
it and pretty much tell from that.
ask the council. What would you prefer?
I prefer moving it to comp time. Now, if we decide to pay part of it,
I was preferring to pay out now if we have the money, but if we don't have the
Exactly.
money, it's pay part now and part to comp time.
Okay. So we have two that would like to pay now and then pay the other half at a later date. I don't know if that's before the budget or after the budget, or to include
and I don't
in
know
the
about
budget.
half. Maybe we could do a little less than that.
I'm good with half.
We didn't say half, we just said pay a part.
Well, she said half. That's why
I'm good with half. That's what, 35.
half is $35,000. I don't know where we're going
But
to get $35,000.
then we just need to talk with Stephen and see if that is feasible. So we can take
So
a
like
vote
half
to.
now and half at the next budget year?
Mhm.
Is that what you're thinking is?
You can ask him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Or if
Unless
we
we
or we
And
could
if
break
it's
it
not
up.
available,
Maybe-
we can
yeah.
see what
And
is.
that we make
Yeah.
the signature have to be validated for anyone who earns additional comp time.
So we can go. We'll talk about that
And
later.
and in all
We just
honesty,
need to
I know
get
that it's
this one
something
set
she
up.
can work on if we agree that that's something. I mean, it
As
says in
far
the
as comp
policy
time?
it has to be approved, right?
It does say it needs to be approved in
But
the
I don't
policy.
think we have a form that anybody's signing off on. If so, I've never seen it, and I've seen most of the payroll forms, through the years.
If we don't have one, I'm sure that we can get you one. And if we have one, then I'm sure that we can get that to you at the next
I'm
meeting.
sure Kim could come up with something.
We do have a leave request form that they
Seen that
request out. Yeah, and then I have another question about the payout. So, what about deducting? So we have open, and this is out of my realm, but we do have open vacancies that we've had for some time. Why not? Can we pull from that to help
Probably where it will come
mitigate?
from.
To help
So once
mitigate
again, we'll have to
the,
get with
the,
Steven, and he'll let us know what monies we have and where he can pull from. So he'll let us know that. So
Okay.
Sue will get with him, and she'll talk with you, and you guys will come back to us.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. So do we need a vote, a consensus?
We'll bring it. We'll bring it back with all
Okay,
the
so we're
formal
gonna bring it back.
documentation.
Before you go to vote, man.
Yes. Sir.
One of the issues that our city is faced with is lack of concurrency of our city managers. So anything that you guys decide on, unless you have it documented, the next city manager, perhaps this city manager, will be very diligent about not allowing this kind of overreach to occur. I understand Mr. Barber's point of view, and it's a valid one. However, there are ways. If you have to hire someone outside, there are ways to get the job done. But the point is, it all comes down to the city manager, and I hope that we don't have 3 city managers from now talking about issues that we could resolve today with proper documentation, as Councilor Jones is saying. Get your documentation worked out if you can, because we are a porous city. You know, people come and people go.
And
Thank
it's
you.
and it's not
Thank
a,
you, Mayor.
Kim, it's not a leave request that I'm interested in and them using the comp time. It's a signature by their department head that they can move the hours to comp time in the future.
We can add that into the leave request form. Just make it, you know,
a different checkbox.
Yeah, a new checkbox. New checkbox.
Perfect.
There's another option to prevent this in the future. Is I can try and work with Lori to see how we pull at the beginning of the fiscal year a use or lose report.
That'd be good.
Yeah, if I may, we won't need to. Based on what Selena's saying about Edmonds, it won't allow us to accrue more. The new system
Correct.
won't allow us to go into.
No, it won't allow it to go over.
Correct.
I can tell you many employers I've worked for, when you hit the cap, you're just out of luck. You didn't accrue anything else until you used some of it. I've worked for many employers like that.
Okay. So we're going to move on to the next item. Next item is going to be J, Resolution 2025-68, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving the rate schedule for services, use, and rentals at the Williston Regional Airport, authorizing appropriate parties to enforce such new rates on behalf of the City of Williston and providing an effective date. Airport Manager Benton Stiegel.
Yes, ma'am. This is just something that we put together after the completion of the ordinance. That we're basically just CPIing our rates forward from what they were the last time we CPI'd, which I think was October of 22 or something like that. So it's just a CPI increasing our rates from what they were. It's not a drastic change at all. But it's dealing with land lease rates, T-hanger fees, and bulk hanger fees.
Can I get a motion?
I make a motion we approve Resolution 2025-68.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion from the council? Any discussion from the public? I move to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Now we have,
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. We have Resolution 2025.
And this will be
Item
69.
K.
69.
69.
And this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving the directive confirmation and addendum between Florida Gas Utility and the City of Williston, authorizing appropriate parties to execute such directive confirmation and addendum on behalf of the City of Williston and providing an effective date. I'm positive that Donald can give you more information on this than I can, but essentially this is a re-up of your current standing agreement with FGU regarding your prepayment for gas.
Donald, do you have anything?
No, ma'am. It's a standard agreement that we have like normal. So it's just a recertification of it, basically.
Okay, great. Can I get a motion?
I move approval of Resolution 2025-69.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion from the council?
My question is there any change in the amount for the decatherm?
You mean in regards to the rate being charged?
Yep.
It's just a market rate. And then as far as your savings plans, those are all as they were negotiated. Those contracts don't change at
They
all.
stay the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Any discussion from the public? I move to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item number 6, public participation. You have 5 minutes, please.
I'm Tim Ecker. Does the city have any plans on bringing the water up to code within the next 5 years? Like a 5-year plan to bring the city, the whole underground or whatever that keeps breaking loose?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, right now it seems like it's just nothing but rust and lead. Because if you fix one patch, it leaks right over here. Talking about bringing it up to, instead of being 40 years old, bringing it up to code.
I believe we discussed this at the last meeting related to our infrastructure and what we are doing to get things taken care of. Not close enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree.
I don't think I was here. But is there like a 5-year plan or something on trying to...
It's the current plan already in effect.
And what is that?
And I can tell you we had a lead study, and they didn't find any lead.
Okay. What about all the leaks that keep occurring? Is it going to be fixed anytime soon in the next 5 years?
We fix them as they break.
Madam President.
Donald, would you like to?
So we do have a capital improvement plan. We established that about 3 years ago. We're in the process of getting funding. We have the state revolving fund, which we often refer to as the SRF. That is a program through the Florida Department of Environmental Protection that looks at systems like ours. Right now we're in the middle of the wastewater. As you all recall, it's a 50-50. We did the study. We'll be coming back hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months with the final proposal of the 80-20 grant. And that is the actual fixing of all the lift stations and the updating of the lining of the sewer lines and the recasting of some of the laterals. You'll see also at the end of this summer our initiation for that 50-50 grant on the new budget in October for the water side to be started. Wastewater had to occur first. That was a recommendation by Florida Rural Water and DEP. The water plan, it's already been studied, already has a capital improvement plan. Ms. Jones, we did not find any lead, as you mentioned. That was a service line inventory.
Right.
That's all we were required to do by the EPA. We were one of the few municipalities in Levy County that met that timeline by October 16th. We are in compliance. We have daily sampling of our water. As far as the age of the infrastructure, he is correct. It is absolutely old. Yeah. We do our best to fix it. If citizens have any information as to where they see an issue, please let us know. We call in locates. We get it scheduled. There are instances that have been brought up where, in cooperation with commercials, businesses, they actually ask us not to fix a leak at a certain time because it adversely affects their business. So, for example, the one in front of Sister's Place, they asked us to not do that when they were opening their business. We had constant conversations with them, and we did it exactly when they kind of requested it to be done. We're in the middle of a water audit. Last week, SwiftMud, the water district, sent in 3 staff members paid by the state of Florida, and they went around, and over 2 days, on Monday and on Wednesday, they walked around with our meter reader, and they did a water leak analysis survey. They took a whole section of the southeast, and they have very special equipment where they went in, and they emailed me the list today, and I can share that through the city manager if any of you are interested, of 14 places where we have water loss, where the water is not coming up, but they identified a leak under the ground. We have already called in those locates today, and we plan on the next 2 weeks doing that entire list. Once we report to them on that list, they are willing to come out and do another section of town for free for us. So I am in the middle of that water audit with the Water Management District. We're hoping to cut down on that. I can't prevent it from recreating and another situation popping up, but we have a very aggressive schedule of going after the water leaks.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Do we have any
take money, right?
anyone else during public participation? If you will come up, you'll have 5 minutes if you state your name and
My name is
residence.
Randy. My name is Randy Griffith, and I own that business across the street over there at the barber shop. Deborah, with our overhang over there with the awning. Laura, did y'all file that insurance?
Yes.
Y'all file that?
That claim has been
Did you
filed.
get the check? You ain't got the check.
They told us to get an estimate. We filed a claim. They told us to get an estimate. We have gotten an estimate, and we have submitted that to them. And we're waiting on the check.
after it was hit over there, it was about 3 months. I talked to a young man, contractor that put that up. And he was out there with the original plans, and I'm looking at them. I went over it with him. So, did he submit?
Yes, sir, he did. He gave us an estimate that we thought was extremely high. So what we're going to do is we're waiting for that check to come in, and then we're going to do a quote. We're going to get 3 other quotes to take a look at it, because we just felt like it was, well, it was over twice what the insurance company's going to give us.
Can I just ask you one thing?
Yes, sir.
It's been a year and a half. That's a
What
lot
has?
Oh, it
since
hadn't
it
been a
got
year.
hit over there.
No, I don't think it's been a year.
Maybe 6 months.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been way over a year. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's our insurance companies have had it since the first day. I mean, we got the police report.
I think it was December.
I'm sure
honestly.
when you file that, you got checked pretty quick.
We didn't get it yet.
I haven't got a check yet.
Not yet?
No. That's what we're waiting on.
Insurance is fun. Yeah. But we will get it fixed. That I can guarantee.
Laura,
Whether it be this year or next year, I can't
Laura,
guarantee.
wait a minute. Laura, you got a city lawyer. You got a lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Get the lawyer.
Sir.
Get the lawyer. You get on that phone. You call
Mr.
that
Randy,
company.
if
When
you
he
will.
called that in,
Randy,
company-
excuse me. Can you address me
Yes,
when
ma'am.
you're talking?
I can address you, but when that lawyer calls that insurance company, they'll get on the ball. Trust me. I done went through all that stuff and building construction, I can tell you. They move. Mountains move when that lawyer gets on that phone.
Latricia,
Get the
Latricia's
check.
in charge of our insurance,
Yeah.
so she's filed a claim for
Yep.
us.
But if that person can't get it done, then you get the lawyer. That's what you pay them for. They can do the job. But
She's
I'm gonna
sitting
tell you,
right there.
That's been a long time since that thing hit over there. And I know how long it's been since I've listened to what Jonathan said and what Deborah said about the check over there. About $33,000.
Look at me.
About $33,000. And the estimate was $26,000 on the bank. Good. And I'm with Deborah. Good. Right? So we got plenty enough money to pay the bill, right?
If we get it, we're waiting on it.
Laura.
You need to be addressing the chair, not the staff. It's just the rules.
Well, that's even better. I'm depending on. That's all. I'm depending on you.
Thank you.
She can do it.
So if it ain't done, I'm coming to see you.
Okay.
Point either.
Remember
I look
that.
forward to seeing
But
you.
I'll come over here and you won't like to see me.
I like seeing everybody.
No, you don't. Because
Anything else?
I'll aggravate you worse than a feist dog.
Okay. Anything else?
Remember.
Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Randy.
thank you.
Remember,
Okay. Item number 7, announcements. Do we have any announcements from the staff? Donald?
Briefly had a meeting with our engineers today, and we are addressing USDA, be proposing hopefully by the end of June to the council a proposal for a couple of issues that we have through USDA. But one bright spot is we're also going to be asking permission to apply for a grant for economic development through USDA. And I wanted to mention, because this has been talked about a lot on Block 12, and that would specifically be to develop the public restrooms at Block 12.
Right.
So I just wanted to mention that staff has moved forward on working on that, and hopefully you'll be seeing something, and so then it'll be, do all your little crosses and different things to hope that we get it. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Any announcements from the council?
Just that Thursday or Friday, I will be attending a FMIT board meeting in Honda Gorda.
Okay. Ms. Bode? Any announcement? Kirsten? Mayor, do you have any announcements?
Just two. Later this month, a couple of weeks from now, I will be gone for 4 or 5 days to a mayor's conference. And God bless everybody and have a good night.
Thank you, sir. So our next scheduled council meeting will be June 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in this meeting room. Item 8, adjournment.
If we adjourn.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We adjourn at 8:08 p.m.